Okay, now, which one are we going to use? Number 1, 2, or 3?
Num
Number,
One.
that's right. You got it right. Number 1. Let's do it. Let's find what the value of A is. And guess what? At the end, we're going to round it to the nearest kilometer. Since there's no 8.1 in here or 12.2, they're just whole numbers here. So we know that our final answer can't have decimals. We're going to round to the nearest kilometer. So let's do it. All right, so we're going to write our formula. A squared equals B squared. This is how I get my points. I want to be a great math student. Well, I need to write my formulas accurately to get my points. This is how I'm going to be successful in my math class. Know the formulas, understand how they work, and apply them correctly. And you won't have any problem with Mr. Taylor. So B, what is my value for B?
12 kilometers.
Very good. 12 km. Okay. And plus, that looks really bad. Let me just try help it out here. I'm not trying to be perfect, but I don't want it to look like a different number. Okay. What's my C?
8 kilometers.
Correct. Do some cursive there. Minus 2. Okay, look at what I'm going to do right now. So I don't get confused. I'm going to put everything after the negative sign in brackets, so I don't confuse myself. Everything in this brackets must be multiplied. So I'm going to put, I won't put the K, let me just see if I can fit everything in here. 12 km, 8 km, sir is trying to fit all of the information on the screen. Cosine, what's the value for A, the angle A? What's the value, guys?
110 degrees.
All right, excellent. So there we go. 110 degrees. Okay, let's start to work it out. Now, you've already accomplished, you've gotten you chose your formula correctly, you chose the right one. 1 point, you substituted correctly, another point, right? Let's now, oh, look at this. I forgot to put the squares. Can't forget that. What's 12? Now, you know what? Each term on the inside will be squared. So 12 times 12 is?
144.
144. Km squared will just be km squared. That just means now we're dealing with an area, not just a length. If it was just km, it would be a length. Because it's km squared, we're dealing with an area, a square on a side. Plus 60, 8 times 8 is 64. The km gets squared, so we get km squared. The minus sign is still there. Open your brackets. 8 times 12 is 96. 96 times 2. Let's type that into our calculators. 96 times 2. What do you get?
192.
192. The km times km gives you what? Gives you km squared. Just like a times a is a squared, km times km will give you km squared. Now, cosine of 110, let's type that into our calculators. Let's do it. For me, I have to press 110 first and then hit cosine. I have the old school calculator. What do you get? Let's go to 3 decimal places. Zero 0.3 something something. Help me out, guys.
Sir, my one just said 0.34.
34. Okay. Your one should say 0.3420 something 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 something. But we're going to 3 decimal places, so we'll stop right there. Okay. After this 2 came a 0, so that's why this stays as a 2 and it doesn't round to a 3. Okay, now look at this. We're multiplying these two things together. So let's multiply negative, or just multiply 0.342 times 192. Just do that for me. Multiply 0.342 times 192. And what do you get?
Sixty-five point six six four.
Okay, 65.664. But notice I had to put a negative sign in front, right? Because of this. But look, a negative is here already. A negative times a negative will give me what, guys?
A positive.
A positive, all right? All right, so let's add these two together. 144 plus 64. What does that give you? I got 208 kilometers. Anybody got something different? Oh, look at this. Sir forgot something. Let's fix that here. What did I forget? What goes here? How did I lost like a fraction of a point, like a half a point. Why? How did I lose it?
You didn't put kilometer square.
Yes, I didn't put kilometer square, which is so important. So I gotta put it back. All right. Now, almost there. So I'm bringing down my 208 because I have nothing more to do with this guy right now. 208 kilometers square. Negative and a negative, you guys were correct. It gives you a positive, right? If I say to you, hate evil, those are two negative words, but what comes to your mind when I say hate evil? Do you get a negative idea?
Yes.
Yeah, hate evil. If somebody hates evil, will they go do evil? Will they be out there doing evil things? Anybody? So hate evil For a person who hates evil, they're going to be doing what will they be doing?
Positive.
Positive. They'll be doing positive things. So two negatives give you a positive. But if you add two negatives together, what happens? Do you get a positive? If you add two negatives together, what happens? Negative 1 and a negative 1 gives you a negative. Gives you a negative
Negative
2. So it just gets worse. So if you add negatives together, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger when you add negatives. So think about that. How does that, maybe that applies to life. Okay, check it out. We're going to add 208 plus 65.664. What did we get? 208 plus 65. We get I get 270 something. Let me check it again. 273? You get that?
Yes, sir.
And then the decimal stays the same, right? 64 kilometers square. And now we're back at the point where we used to be when we were dealing with Pythagoras. When you get to this point, what are you supposed to do?
Square.
Square root both sides. That's right. Because we want to find the root of the square. Whatever you do on one side, make sure you do on the other side. And what is the square root of this number here? So let's check it out. 273.664 square root that, and what do you get? I got 16.5. Let's go to one decimal place. This is one decimal place. I got 16.5 kilometers. Will that be my final answer? Well, if I look at these, I don't see any decimal in them. So I'm going to round to the nearest kilometer. What's the nearest kilometer?
17.
17. So my answer here will be 17 km. And that is how you solve a problem. That's how you use the cosine rule to solve a triangle that is not a right triangle. A non-right triangle can be solved using either the cosine rule or the sine rule. Today I'm showing you the cosine rule because it has a lot of steps. When you look at the video for sine rule, you'll see that it has less steps.